the podcast where we talk about what it really means to live well mentally, emotionally, and yes, sometimes intimately. Yeah, I'm your host Avik, and today's episode is a reminder that health isn't just about the routines, nutrition, or mindfulness. It's all about the joy, like real, embodied, laughter filled joy. Yes. Because here's the truth, dear listeners, the human body and the mind thrive on fun. When we lose play, curiosity, or maybe the pleasure, we lose connection, not just with others, but with ourselves. And dear listeners, my guest today is please welcome Mandy Hart. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. So, dear listeners, before we delve deep into the discussion, I'll quickly love to introduce you with Mandy. So, what I was mentioning till now, Mandy knows exactly why that matters. So, she is a certified sexologist and the founder of Heart's Desire, Intimacy and Relationship Coaching. So, through her work, she helps people untangle the shame, reconnect with their bodies, and redefine intimacy on their own terms. So, she blends behavioral science with trauma informed somatic coaching, and she also brings a mix of humor, heart, and straight talk that makes even the toughest conversations feel like exhaling after holding your breath too long. Yeah. So today we are diving into the science and soul of the play, like how fun, laughter, and pleasure are not just the luxuries, but lifelines for your physical, mental, and the sexual health. So I'll not take much of your time, dear listeners. Mandy, welcome to the show, and it's really an honor to have you here.
I I'm I'm so happy to be having this conversation. I think it's really important. I I've been thinking about it a lot lately, so this is perfect.
Lovely. So, Mandy, like, I mean, the serious business of having fun, right? Like, I mean, you work with people on intimacy and the healing. So, I mean, these are the topics that can feel heavy sometimes, but yet your message often centers around the joy, play, and fun. Um, so, why do you think that take fun so seriously or even feel guilty about it? I mean, what do you say on this?
Um I don't know if I'll answer this question the way that you're asking it, but basically,
Mhm.
when we have a lot of trauma, we get stuck in our trauma brain, which
Hmm.
puts us in a state of like wanting to protect ourselves, wanting to put up um not even boundaries but walls. Uh and it's like a block, and that's what blocks intimacy. So it's it's like the fight or flight part of your brain. And when we play genuinely, truly, authentically, not sort of pretend, although sometimes pretending can lead to the real thing. Um, when we play, we really get into the part of our brains where we can fully connect, and
Yeah.
we're not in that protective mode anymore. We're in that exploration mode. Kind of like, think of how children play. They play to explore the world and to learn. And when we're when we grow up and we experience traumatic events and we learn how to protect ourselves, it's like we forget how to do that playful exploration part. It's it's a it's a innocent, fun
Hmm.
way of taking in information that we can't really do when we're in our trauma brain, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So, I would say, like, what happens to our nervous system, like our mood or even our relationship, when we stop giving ourselves the permission to play?
Well, I think it goes back to those walls. When we forget to have fun or we're not comfortable enough to have fun, we don't laugh or know how to kind of not take ourselves too seriously. That's when we get self-conscious, embarrassed, shameful, and those are the things that block connection, which is what you need for intimacy. And
Yeah.
it's not just connection with others, it's connection with self as well. There's a lot of people who I've talked to where, I try to find out what they like to do to have fun. And sometimes they'll tell me, for example, they like to dance. And then I say, like, "Do you dance?" Like, when you're home alone? And they say, "No, that would feel weird." And it's like you're alone, nobody's there, nobody's watching. Go ahead, be wild, be silly. But people just they feel weird doing that even when nobody's around. So it's like that connection with self is missing too.
Hmm. Got it. So, definitely. I mean, that's such a refreshing take, I would say, because that joy is not an kind of indulgence, but I'd say it's a medicine, right? So,
Mhm.
uh, like, when we also talk about the mind body connection, like, like you talk about the body as a truth teller, that our sensations and the desires carry wisdom. And from there, like, how does reconnecting with the pleasure and maybe the fun impact our mental health and our physical health as well?
Physically, physiologically, it lowers our cortisol levels, which is what spikes when we're stressed. And cortisol and adrenaline, they're good for us, but n- in in certain levels. When we are so stressed and our cortisol goes up, that's when we, you know,
Hmm.
maybe we don't act in our healthiest ways. We maybe eat food that's not good for us, or we lack energy, or we're just in that constant state of anxiety. So when you
Hmm.
play, you actually you actually allow your body to relax in a
Yeah.
way. Um and and open up. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, for someone who feels disconnected from their body or the desire, maybe burnout or trauma also, what will be one small way that they can start to rebuild that relationship? What do you guide?
So I'll usually ask people, what brings you joy? What is something that just makes you feel good? Maybe it's something nostalgic. It can be listening to music. It can be reading a book. It can be just taking a nice long bath. Or it can be going on a hike, being in nature. It
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be anything major, but I'll ask people to just think about those little things that make them feel good, and we create a list. And the list doesn't have to be long. It can be short, but that's where you start. And so you start incorporating those little things whenever you can. So, for example, I had a client who, when he would drive home from work, he would be kind of, like trying to wind down from his workday. And he used that time to talk to, honest, like he would talk to his partner, and she would kind of unload her day before he had a chance to unwind. So I suggested wait until you get home to have that conversation and just use that time in your car to listen to music because he really loved listening to music. So he started doing that. He started listening to music instead, and it made such a difference for him to be able to just have that time to unwind.
Okay. Okay. So, um, I mean, it's beautiful, like fun as a bridge back to feeling alive again. Uh, but many of us grew up with kind of, I'd say, shame around the sex and or the pleasure. Uh, so when we look into that perspective, so how can playfulness help dissolve that shame and also open the door to a healthier intimacy? What do you say?
Mm, I think the key is to feel embraced in some way. So if you, let's say, I love to use dance as an example. I think it's something everybody can understand and relate to. And it can be very, like, you can feel very exposed when you're dancing, uh, even alone, but definitely when you're in front of people. And if you're able to do it and be embraced. Let's say you're in a dance class
Okay.
and you dance and you start to realize nobody's making fun of you. Nobody's uh, really paying much attention to you. And maybe you do something that somebody sees and says, wow, that was cool. But it's these little things where if you can get that, I guess, positive feedback, but really that feeling of being embraced, I think that helps reinforce that these things are okay. So when I'm with my clients, if they have a hard time being silly, I'll be silly first. I'll get real goofy and make them laugh. I love making people laugh. And just like breaking them out of that tension shell. Um but yeah, and you can do that for yourself. You don't need that to be from somebody else. You can dance and then afterwards say, "Hey, that was really cool. That was really fun. Like, good job." You can give yourself praise and celebration. I celebrate myself all the time for
Yeah.
the littlest things.
True. Exactly. So, I mean, do you find that laughter, I mean, even during the tough or awkward moments, uh, which can actually deepen the connection in relationships?
Absolutely. I think when you have a moment you can have a moment that
Mhm.
could be super awkward and super embarrassing and horrifying, but you take that same exact moment and you laugh together about it, totally changes the the vibe. It totally changes the connection. It turns into a good experience, if that makes sense. It's you realize that we're all human and we all do things. We all uh like nobody's perfect. Nobody's always looking good or maybe smelling good,
Yeah.
sometimes you stink or you burp, you're having sex and you
Mm.
burp, like that can be embarrassing or it can be really funny and that can just totally make the difference between a bad experience and a good experience, a fun experience.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And like it's kind of freeing, I'd say. I mean that humor, honesty can live in the same space, and it's what I believe makes intimacy human and not a kind of performative thing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly, because you are being free. You are in that think about again how I was talking about how when children play, they're exploring, and I get that maybe some people didn't maybe have that chance as children, um, which is really unfortunate, and that's something that somebody might need to work through, and maybe do something that feels really playful as an adult that maybe they didn't ever get that chance when they were a kid. Um, but it is that open, free, fun, accepting part of your brain that's what connects you. It's the acceptance, the openness, the embracing. That's how you connect. You don't connect when you're shut down or you have those walls up.
Hmm. Exactly. Exactly true. So, wow, lovely. And like we should also talk about the performance to presence as well. Like you often say that stop performing, start feeling. I mean, what does that look like in practice? I mean, both in bedroom and beyond it. I mean, what do you say?
It's being yourself. When when you try to be somebody that you think your partner wants you to be, or you think you have to be in order to be loved, if you're not really being yourself, then are you really being loved? If somebody embraces you for somebody who you aren't, then who are they embracing? Um,
Yeah.
I feel like there was another part to your question
Hmm.
that I didn't answer, but it comes back to authenticity.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, like, how do we recognize when we are in performance mode? I mean, versus the authentic connection mode.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Some people like to perform, and that might be how they connect. So performing in itself is not necessarily a bad thing. But if you if you don't enjoy it, or you don't feel like you're authentically showing up, whether you're performing or not, then that's what makes the difference. So if you get excited to perform, you like um maybe like putting on a show and getting attention, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're doing it because you feel like you have to and you're not into it, then what's the benefit?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's I mean, it lands so well because fun without authenticity is just, I'd say, a distraction, and with presence, it actually kind of healing. I mean, what do you have to say on this?
Yeah, it is. It's like a warmth, or a like I talk about your having a pilot light in your core, just like where your passion comes from, and your um desire, your erotic self. And when you're having fun and you're really free, that pilot light burns bright, if that makes sense. Like it it's not dim. It's full blast.
Hmm.
That's like where the passion comes from. It's like that fire, or
Hmm.
that fierceness that that drives us.
Exactly. Exactly true. Yep. Ooh, amazing. And so as adults, like we often equate fun with being frivolous or maybe unproductive, right? So how can we redefine fun as a kind of something very, very essential, even sacred for our overall well-being? What do you say?
Yeah, I think it's about balance, trying to find balance, which is so hard, and you'll never find perfect balance. That's I mean, maybe you might have moments that feel really balanced and centered, but life life in all forms is about trying to find balance. So, if you find yourself maybe having too much fun and other things are starting to suffer because of it, uh, you know, you're neglecting work or you're neglecting something at anything, then you might need to step back and say, what am I doing? Am I doing this in a way that's fulfilling, or am I distracting myself from things that I don't want to deal with or I don't want to feel? And then the question is, are you even really having fun?
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So, wow. And if you could give every listeners a fun prescription, it's a fun prescription. So, I mean, one playful practice to boost their mental and sexual health this week, then what would it be?
Hmm. I would, now this could be hard for a lot of people, but I would maybe sit down in a quiet space where you're not going to be interrupted, you're comfortable, get comfortable. Maybe take some deep breaths in your belly where that pilot light is, and just think about things that you enjoy and see if anything gives you a flutter, that feeling of butterflies in your belly. Maybe think about a crush that you had in, when you were young, or something that excited you for the first time. You didn't quite understand it. Just,
Hmm.
just see if there's anything that just kind of gets you like a little giddy or a little turned on. And that doesn't have to be sexually, but just in any way excited. And make note, make note of how that feels. And then embrace it, allow it, accept it, even if it's weird, even if it's, um, something you didn't expect or something you feel is maybe like wrong. Um, Try to allow it and accept it.
Hmm. Amazing. Amazing. I love that. And fun as a daily vitamin and not as a reward that we have to earn. So, Mandy, thank you so much for this joyful, liberating
Mhm.
conversation. And I have to say this that you have reminded us that fun is not a kind of distraction from healing, but it's a healing. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, because I mean, when we laugh, when we play, when we dance, and connect with our bodies, we are not just kind of escaping the life, but we are returning to it. So that's amazing part of it. And dear listeners, like ask yourself, like when was the last time that you did something purely for joy, not productivity, no guilt, no agenda, uh, just for the spark. I mean, it gives you, because play is not a kind of childish thing, but it's a human. So yes,
So, so you're asking me when the last time was that I had fun?
yes,
Um, I have fun all the time because I live with 2 dogs and a cat,
wow,
and they're all very, very silly, and they make me laugh all the time. So, there's a lot of goofiness that happens just at home. Um, but I also enjoy watching funny things on TV. So, I can laugh so hard to just a TV show. And it's passive. It's not it's not like an engaging activity where you're necessarily a part of what's happening, but you can really get like lost in that world, and that's one thing for me that I like. I like to watch funny things and laugh my ass off.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Lovely. So, dear listeners, if you want to learn more about Mandy and her work through Heart's Desire, intimacy and relationship coaching, please visit her blog, Embodying Heart's Desire, or connect with her online. So, Mandy, I mean, if someone wants to connect with you, what will be the great medium to connect?
Best way would be to email me or just go ahead and sign up for a consultation on my website. You can go to the scheduling page on hearts-desire.com, and if you scroll down, you will see a section for a free consultation, and you can just book right there.
Amazing. Amazing. So, um, great. And dear listeners, I'll put all the links into the show notes for easy reference. And with this hope, this is your host, Avik, and this is Healthy Mind, Healthy Life, reminding you that healing doesn't have to be kind of heavy. Sometimes the most profound transformation begins with just a smile. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
So until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and don't forget to have some fun. So thank you so much.
Thank you.